You didn't lock your door last night, Alex. The message popped up on my phone at 3 o'clock a.m. No number, no name, just a cold, simple fact. My half-asleep brain struggled to process it. A prank? A wrong number? I rubbed my eyes, squinting at the screen. Then I noticed something far worse. The front door was open. Not wide, just an inch, barely enough to notice. But it had been locked. I was sure of it. My chest tightened. Had someone been inside? I forced myself out of bed, my heart hammering. The wooden floor felt ice cold under my bare feet. I reached the door in 3 strides and pushed it shut, turning the deadbolt twice. The silence in my apartment was suffocating. The air felt thick, heavy. My fingers hovered over my phone screen. Call the police. That's what a normal person would do, right? But I hesitated. What would I even say? Someone texted me about my door being unlocked, and now I'm scared. I checked the peephole. The hallway outside was empty, just the dim glow of the emergency exit sign flickering at the end. I lived on the 4th floor of a quiet complex. No security cameras, no nosy neighbors. Then another vibration. Your coffee will be bitter today. You forgot the sugar. A second later, my coffee maker beeped from the kitchen. I spun around so fast I nearly dropped the phone. Steam curled from the half-filled mug sitting on the counter. I had set the machine last night, but I hadn't even poured the coffee yet. I rushed to the kitchen, scanning every corner. The windows were locked. The balcony door hadn't been touched. Nothing was missing, nothing disturbed. Just the door slightly open, like a whisper of someone who had been there and left without a trace. My breathing grew shallow. This isn't normal. Swiping back to the messages, I typed, "Who is this?" No response. I waited, each second stretching like an eternity. Finally, after what felt like forever, 3 dots appeared. Someone was typing. Then the message came through. "Someone who cares about you, Alex." I swallowed hard. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I had no idea what to say. My stomach twisted. This wasn't random. They knew my name, my habits, my routine. I walked back to my front door and placed a hand on the lock, pressing against it, as if that would keep whoever was watching me out. Then something clicked in my mind. The security camera. Last year, after a package was stolen from my doorstep, I'd installed a small camera just above my door, motion activated, linked to my phone. If someone had been outside last night, I'd see it. With shaky hands, I opened the app and scrolled through the footage. Midnight, clear. 1 o'clock a.m., clear. Then I reached 2:45 a.m. The file was corrupted. Every recording from 2:45 to 3:05 a.m. was nothing but static. My breath hitched. That's impossible. The footage never glitched. And yet, the exact window of time when someone could have entered my apartment was completely wiped. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed at me to throw the device away, to pretend this wasn't happening. But I forced myself to check. "Don't bother checking the footage. You won't find me." I dropped the phone. A cold, sinking dread filled my chest. My pulse pounded in my ears. Whoever this was, they weren't guessing. They knew. They had been here. And worst of all, they were still watching. My hands trembled as I picked up my phone. The screen still glowed with the last message. "Don't bother checking the footage. You won't find me." I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering in my ears. Whoever was sending these messages wasn't guessing. They knew what I was doing, down to the second. They knew I checked the footage. They knew it wouldn't be there. I forced myself to think rationally. There had to be an explanation. Maybe my phone had been hacked. Maybe someone installed a camera in my apartment. Maybe. A sharp knock at the door snapped me out of my thoughts. I froze. My body went rigid, heart slamming against my ribs. The sound had been light, deliberate, not like a delivery or a neighbor. Slowly, I stepped toward the peephole, my breath shallow. The hallway was empty. My stomach twisted. I waited, straining my ears for footsteps, for breathing, for anything. But there was only silence. I hesitated and reached for the doorknob, my fingers barely grazing the metal before my phone vibrated again. "Don't open it." I yanked my hand back like I'd been burned. My chest tightened as I stumbled away from the door. This wasn't a game. Someone was watching me in real time. I shut the blinds, locked the windows, checked every closet, every corner, every shadow. My apartment was empty. It had to be. And yet, I felt them. The weight of unseen eyes, the certainty that someone was just out of reach, lurking where I couldn't see. I sank onto the couch, running a shaky hand through my hair. My mind raced. Think, Alex. Think. How could they be watching? Then it hit me. My devices. I jumped up, grabbing my laptop and phone, checking for spyware. If someone had hacked my cameras, I'd find out. I ran every security scan I could think of. Nothing. No malware, no tracking apps, no unauthorized logins. Whoever this was, they weren't using tech. A chill ran down my spine. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw him. Across the street. A man, standing perfectly still on the sidewalk, facing my window. The street lamp above him flickered, making his silhouette shift in and out of the shadows. I couldn't see his face. He didn't move, didn't react, just stood there, watching. A cold sweat broke out across my skin. Slowly, I reached for my phone, my fingers stiff and numb. I pressed 9, then 1. My phone buzzed again. Another message. They won't believe you, Alex. My vision blurred, my breath hitched. This wasn't possible. The man outside still hadn't moved, not an inch. I forced myself to look away from the message and back toward the window. But he was gone. Vanished. Like he'd never been there at all. I shot to my feet, my heartbeat deafening. Rushed to the window. Checked the street, the sidewalk, the parking lot. Nothing. Just empty pavement under the flickering streetlight. I felt like I was going insane. Then, one final vibration. I looked down at my phone. Go to sleep, Alex. I'll see you soon. I dropped the phone. Because this time, it wasn't just a message. This time, it came with a picture of me, standing at the window. I stared at the picture on my phone, my breath trapped in my throat. It was a photo of me, standing at the window just moments ago, staring out into the night. Someone had taken it from inside my apartment. My body locked up. Every muscle, every nerve screamed at me to move, to run, but I couldn't. My legs felt like lead. My mind refused to process what was happening. There was no one here. I had checked. I had locked everything, hadn't I? Slowly, my eyes flickered toward the nearest door, my bedroom, the closet, the bathroom, places someone could hide. The air felt thick, pressing against my skin. I took a slow, careful step backward, gripping my phone like a lifeline. The walls around me seemed to close in, the silence growing unbearably loud. Then a sound. Faint, barely audible. A breath, not mine. It came from the bedroom. My stomach dropped. My fingers tightened around my phone, but I didn't dare look down. I couldn't afford to take my eyes off the hallway. I moved carefully, forcing my shaking legs to carry me forward. Each step was slow, deliberate. The door was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness visible beyond. The breath came again. I reached out with my free hand, heart pounding in my skull. My fingers brushed against the door, and for a second, I swore I felt something, movement, on the other side. I yanked my hand back. No, I was imagining it. I had to be. I had two choices, run or look inside. A rational person would leave, call the cops, get the hell out of here. But something deep inside me knew the truth. If I left, I wouldn't make it to the front door. Because whoever was here wanted me to run. I couldn't let them control me. Swallowing hard, I lifted my phone and turned on the flashlight. A beam of cold white light cut through the darkness as I pushed the door open. Nothing. My room was exactly as I'd left it. Bed neatly made. Desk untouched. Closet doors closed. No sign of anyone. But I knew what I had heard. Slowly, I turned toward the closet. A part of me screamed, "Don't do this." But I couldn't stop. I reached for the handle, fingers shaking. One breath. Two. I yanked it open. Empty. Just clothes. Boxes. Nothing out of place. I let out a sharp breath, a wave of relief washing over me. Maybe, just maybe, I really was imagining things. The paranoia, the messages, the glitching footage. Maybe my mind was unraveling. Then my phone vibrated again. I looked down. I was in there, Alex. The floor tilted beneath me. My throat closed. No, 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 no. I scrambled backward, my back slamming against the wall. My pulse roared in my ears. You were so close. The closet was empty, but had it been seconds ago? Had someone been standing there, hidden between my coats, inches from me? The walls felt too tight, the air too thin. I was drowning in my own home. I needed to get out. I bolted for the door, flinging it open, and froze. A figure stood in the hallway, still, silent, waiting. The only thing I could see was their smile. The figure stood in the dimly lit hallway, motionless. I couldn't see his eyes, his features, only the smile. Wide, unmoving, raw. My breath hitched. My body refused to move. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to fight, to do something, but I couldn't. It was as if I had been trapped in a nightmare, one where my legs were useless, my voice stolen. Then, the figure took a step forward. I flinched, my fingers tightening around my phone. My mind raced. How did he get in? How long had he been here? My front door was still locked. The windows were closed. There was no way in. And yet, he was here. Another step, slow, deliberate. The hallway light flickered above him, casting long shadows that made his frame seem impossible, stretched, twisted, not quite human. I forced myself to move, inching backward, step by shaky step. My foot caught on the rug, and I stumbled, my shoulders slamming against the wall. I barely registered the pain. The figure stopped. I sucked in a breath. His head tilted slightly, like he was watching me, studying. Then, without a word, he reached into his pocket. My heart nearly stopped. I braced myself. A weapon? A knife? A phone? Instead, he pulled out a piece of paper. He extended it toward me, fingers unnaturally still. I didn't move. I couldn't. The silence between us stretched. Then finally, my shaking hand lifted, hesitating before taking the paper from his grip. His skin was cold, too cold. I looked down. There was only one sentence written on it. I'm not here to hurt you, Alex. That sharp, bitter laugh almost escaped my throat. Not here to hurt me? He had broken into my apartment, sent me messages, wiped my security footage. Why should I believe that? My head snapped up, anger cutting through my fear. Who are you? My voice came out hoarse, barely a whisper. The figure didn't respond. The smile didn't waver. I took a slow step forward, gripping the paper like it was a weapon. How do you know my name? How do you know everything I do? What do you want from me? No answer. But I saw something flicker in his expression, something off, as if he was trying to hold something back. Then my phone buzzed. I jumped, my fingers fumbling to unlock it. A new message. You need to listen to him, Alex. He's the only one trying to help you. My stomach dropped. I stared at the message, my skin prickling with cold realization. The stranger in my hallway hadn't sent it. My gaze flicked back up. The figure hadn't moved. He was still watching me, still smiling. And that's when I knew. There was someone else. Someone worse. A shadow flickered behind the man, just at the edge of the hallway light. A darker shape, bigger, moving. My breath caught. The figure in front of me, his expression had changed. The smile was gone. His lips moved, forming two silent words. Run now. A hand, not his, shot out from the darkness behind him and grabbed his shoulder. Then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone. Vanished. Like he had never been there at all. The hallway was empty. No sound, no movement, nothing but the faint flicker of the overhead light. But I had seen it. I had seen him get pulled into the darkness. 1 second he was standing there, watching me, warning me, and the next, he was just gone. I took a shaky step forward, my breath tight in my chest. My hands were ice cold, my fingers stiff as I clenched the crumpled paper he had given me. I'm not here to hurt you, Alex. Then who was? My instincts screamed at me to leave, to get out, to run. but something kept me rooted in place. I turned my gaze toward the hallway. My apartment wasn't that big. I knew every inch of it. The figure had vanished right near my bedroom door, but where could he have gone? A trapdoor? A hidden passage? No, that was insane. I forced myself to move. Slow, careful steps. My back pressed against the wall as I edged closer to where he had been. Every shadow felt deeper now. Every darkened space felt alive. I reached the spot. The air was different here, colder, heavier. My stomach twisted. I reached out, hesitantly brushing my fingers against the wall. Something wasn't right. The temperature had dropped significantly. My skin prickled with goosebumps, and my breath came out in a thin mist. Why was it so cold? Then I saw it. Faint, almost unnoticeable, scratches on the floor, like something had been dragged. I swallowed hard. My heart hammered. Drag where? I dropped to my knees, pressing my palm against the floor. The scratches led straight to the baseboard, and then stopped. I reached out, pressing against the wall. Nothing. No seams, no secret doors, just solid drywall. Then my phone buzzed. I nearly screamed. I scrambled backward, my pulse slamming against my skull as I fumbled to check the message. "You waited too long, Alex." My lungs locked. The air shifted behind me. My body reacted before my brain could. I threw myself forward, just as a hand lunged from the darkness, fingers grazing the back of my shirt. I hit the ground hard, pain jolting through my knees and palms as I scrambled to my feet. My head snapped around, my breath ragged. Nothing. The hallway was still empty, but I had felt it. I knew I had. A hand, cold, raw. My vision blurred as panic set in. I wasn't alone. I had never been alone. I turned toward the front door, my pulse roaring in my ears. I didn't care about anything else now. I needed to leave. I grabbed my keys off the counter, reaching for the lock. Click. The door unlocked itself. I froze. My fingers hovered just inches from the handle. Then slowly it swung open. I stepped back. The hallway outside my apartment stretched out before me, dim and silent. At the far end, just beyond the flickering emergency light, a figure stood. Not the smiling man. Someone else. Taller, still, watching. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his gaze. It pressed against me like a weight, sinking into my skin. Then my phone buzzed one last time. My breath shuddered as I looked down. "You can't run, Alex. He's already inside." I slowly lifted my head. The door slammed shut. The sound echoed through my apartment, rattling the walls, swallowing the air. I turned sharply, my back pressed against the door. My heart pounded like a war drum. The apartment was silent, but I wasn't alone. The message was still glowing on my phone screen. "You can't run, Alex. He's already inside." The words burned into my mind. Inside. Inside where? Inside the apartment. Inside my head? I squeezed my eyes shut, forcing myself to breathe, think. I couldn't just stand here waiting. If something was in here with me, I needed to know where. I needed to see. My hand trembled as I reached for the nearest light switch. I flipped it. Nothing. The overhead light remained dark. I tried another. Still nothing. The power was out. No, it was working just minutes ago. This was deliberate. Someone had done this. A floorboard creaked. I stiffened. The sound came from the kitchen, just around the corner, barely 5 feet away. I held my breath, my fingers tightening around my phone like a lifeline. I wanted to call someone, anyone, but who would believe me? What would I even say? Another creak, closer. I took a step back, my heel brushing against the base of the door. My mind screamed at me to run, to fight, to do something. Then a whisper, soft, barely audible, right by my ear. "You shouldn't have let him in." I spun, but there was nothing there. No one. The air around me was wrong. Thick, suffocating, pressing against my skin like invisible hands. I swallowed hard, my breath coming in short gasps. Then my phone vibrated, a new message. "It's not your apartment anymore." I didn't get a chance to react. From the kitchen, a sudden crash. A plate? A glass? Something shattered. My entire body jolted. I turned toward the sound, pulse roaring. The darkness in the kitchen seemed deeper now, as if it had weight. Then something moved. Not a shadow, not a flicker. Something crawled out of the darkness, low to the ground, unnatural. I couldn't see details, just a shifting form, limbs bent the wrong way, fingers splayed against the floor as it dragged itself forward. My mind refused to process what I was seeing. My body refused to move. Then, in the dim light from my phone screen, I saw its mouth. Grinning. Not like the man from before. This was different, wider. Too wide, teeth stretching into the blackness of its face. It whispered again, voice layered, like more than one thing was speaking at once. He opened the door. You let him in. I sucked in a sharp breath, snapping out of my frozen terror. My survival instinct took over. I turned, gripping the doorknob with both hands, yanking, twisting. Locked. I hadn't locked it. It had locked itself. I banged against it, my breath ragged. Help! Somebody. The thing in the kitchen laughed. Not a normal laugh, not even human. A broken, distorted noise that slithered through the darkness like a sickness. The shadows stretched toward me, creeping over the floor like fingers. I kept pounding on the door, my mind spiraling into blind panic. And then, click. The lock turned. The door swung open. Cold air rushed past me, yanking me forward, out into the hallway. I stumbled, nearly falling. My heart hammered in my chest as I turned back. The apartment was dark, silent, empty, as if nothing had ever been there. But I knew the truth. It had let me go. For now, I staggered into the hallway, breath coming in short, uneven gasps. The door behind me slammed shut. The sound echoed down the empty corridor, but I didn't turn back. I couldn't. The apartment was wrong. It wasn't mine anymore. Maybe it never was. I pressed my back against the wall, my chest heaving. The hallway stretched ahead, silent, dimly lit by the flickering emergency light. The building felt different now, colder. The message on my phone still glowed on the screen. It's not your apartment anymore. My fingers felt numb as I slipped the phone into my pocket. I needed to get out of this building. I forced myself forward, each step slow, deliberate. The hallway was empty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. Not just watching, following. I reached the stairwell and hesitated. The elevator was a death trap. I wasn't stupid enough to use it, but the stairwell, I swallowed hard. It felt wrong too. A heavy silence pressed against my ears as I pushed open the door. The stairwell was pitch black. My phone flashlight barely cut through the darkness. The air smelled stale, like something had been rotting here for a long time. I gripped the railing and forced myself to descend. Each step creaked beneath my weight, the sound stretching into the emptiness. Halfway down, my phone buzzed. I flinched, nearly missing a step. My pulse spiked. I hesitated before pulling it out, my fingers shaking as I read the message. You're going the wrong way. My body went rigid. I lifted my head slowly, my breath locked in my throat. The stairwell stretched below me, dark, endless, but I wasn't alone. At the bottom of the stairs, just at the edge of the light, a figure stood. Not moving, not breathing, just watching. My grip on the railing tightened. My instincts screamed at me to run, but where? If I went back up, would it be waiting there too? Then the figure moved, a slow, unnatural tilt of the head. I took a step back. It took a step forward. My phone buzzed again. I forced my gaze away for a split second to look. Don't look away. My stomach dropped. I snapped my eyes back up. The figure was closer. No sound, no movement, just closer. I stumbled backward, my breath ragged. My pulse pounded against my skull. The figure took another step. This time I saw its face, or rather, the lack of one. Where there should have been features, there was only smooth, empty skin, as if the face had been erased. Then it spoke. Its voice was mine. Alex, you shouldn't be here. I ran. I bolted back up the stairs, my legs burning, my lungs screaming. The door to my floor was still open. I sprinted toward it, heart hammering. As I reached the doorway, I heard it behind me. Not footsteps, something slithering. The sound wrapped around me, digging into my skull. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see. I burst into the hallway, shoving the door closed behind me. My hand scrambled for the lock, but there was no lock. The stairwell door had never had one. I backed away, my vision blurring. My phone slipped from my fingers, hitting the floor with a dull thud. I wasn't safe. Nowhere was safe. Then my phone buzzed again. I stared at the screen, pulse hammering. What new message? It's already inside. My hands trembled as I stared at the message on my phone. It's already inside. Inside. Where? The hallway? My apartment? My mind? I swallowed hard, forcing myself to breathe. I needed to move, to get out. But my body felt locked in place, every muscle coiled tight with dread. A sound. Soft. Almost familiar. It was coming from behind me. I turned slowly, pulse hammering against my ribs. The door to my apartment stood wide open. I knew I hadn't left it that way. The darkness inside gaped like an open mouth, waiting. A single lamp flickered dimly in the living room, casting long, shifting shadows across the floor. I didn't want to go back in, but I also knew if I ran, it wouldn't matter. It was already here. I stepped forward, crossing the threshold. The air inside was thick, suffocating. My ears buzzed with the eerie, unnatural silence. Then, a whisper. Alex. I froze. The voice came from the living room, from the couch. I edged forward, every step slow, deliberate. The dim light flickered, and then I saw him. Me. I was sitting on the couch, or something that looked like me. Same face, same clothes, same everything, except for the eyes. They were wrong. Too dark, too empty. My double smiled. My smile. You shouldn't have come back, he said, his voice eerily calm. My skin prickled with pure, ice-cold terror. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry, strangled by fear. He leaned forward slightly. I didn't. You opened the door, Alex. You let me in. A sharp ringing filled my ears. My mind scrambled for an explanation, a hallucination, a nightmare. But deep down, I already knew. I had been running from something that had no name, no face, until now. You thought you could escape, he continued, tilting his head in mock sympathy. But you never left, Alex. My heart stopped. Never left. I glanced around, my apartment, the hallway, the stairwell, all of it. Something shifted in my memory, something fractured. The door. The first time it had slammed shut. The feeling that something had changed. The messages on my phone. It's not your apartment anymore. Nowhere is safe. It's already inside. My pulse spiked. I staggered back, shaking my head violently. No, this wasn't real. Denial won't change anything, my double said, rising to his feet. He took a slow step toward me, then another. You never left that stairwell, Alex. I shook my head again, panic crawling up my spine. That's not true, I whispered. I got out, I ran. My voice faltered, because I couldn't remember. Had I? A sickening realization settled in my bones. I never left. I never made it out of the stairwell. I never escaped. I was still there. My knees buckled. The walls around me seemed to pulse, flickering like a dying light. You understand now, don't you? My double whispered. He was right in front of me now, staring, smiling. You opened the door, and now you're the one who doesn't belong. I tried to scream, but everything went black. And then the door slammed shut.